Welcome back to another Scraplift Crafternoon. This time we're scraplifting Brandy from Brandy Does This. And it is a really cool layout that has a kind of solid background with some stenciling and then some paper pieces with a square photo. So what am I going to do? I am actually going to use 49 and Market, a combination of Crafty Garden and then some other pieces. And instead of stenciling, I'm going to use their rub-ons. So I really love their rub-ons, and I think that it's a good alternative if you're like me and you're not a big fan of the mess of stenciling or mixed media. Rub-ons make a great option. So hopefully you enjoy this. I will put you on fast forward and you'll watch it come together. Thanks. I think you're going to have a hard time seeing the scrap lift. I hope you don't. But I really went kind of 49 and Market layers. That's what I went with. When I saw this layout originally, I thought to myself, this reminds me of some of the page kits that I've done with 49 and Market, and that's kind of what stuck in my head. Hers is a very bright, vibrant layout. You can see in it, and it's got the circle and it's got the bright, vibrant patterns. And mine is more muted. It's much more 49 and Market. I used mainly the ochre and the Crafty Garden Select Collection. So that's what the base of all of mine is. So I'm just pulling out pieces. Now, for a while, it was too much yellow. I was having yellow and yellow and yellow. So I wanted to pull in some greens and some whites. So in the ochre page pieces kind of kit, there was some whites. And then I'm going to go eventually and pull out some of the ephemera that has a little bit of blue and a little bit of green. But it's a lot different than her layout, but the base kind of idea is the same. And the base is that I wanted to have a stencil, quote unquote, stenciled background around a solid core. So you're seeing me put these rub-ons in places. So basically just used all of and I think it was the sage rub-on, 6x8 rub-ons that I had left. Now, in hindsight, I'm going to cover up a lot of this. That's what you do with stenciling too, but that's okay because this is exactly kind of the look I wanted. And I didn't want to have to worry about putting the rub-ons on, putting paper down and putting the rub-ons down and then messing with it. So I've got a lot of the rub-ons showing here. We're going to cover them up, but that's part of kind of doing rub-ons. It does add a good base for my page. And then the Crafty Garden rub-ons you're seeing there to the right, I'm going to add those at the end strategically in a couple of places. But this sage rub-on added the base, much like her stenciling added the base. So once again, if you see stenciling on a page and you're like, I don't really want to stencil, it's not my jam, think about rub-ons, think about stamping, think about other things that you can do that are maybe not as messy or not maybe just not something you enjoy. The other thing you could do is fussy cut another piece of paper out and use it as a paper layering. So there's a lot of options. So that's going to get me started. Now, I am going to spend a ton of time dwelling on this orange film strip. Originally, I thought I wanted it. The orange kind of goes with the sunflowers that we took a picture of, but you're going to notice about, I don't know, 15 minutes into this, I decide to remove the orange and I end up liking the page so much more. So I'm going to put down, the first thing I'm going to do is put down a picture of us on one of the yellow ephemera pieces or kind of essential pieces, and then put it on top of a white. So I'm kind of making my layout. I'm making my layout here. I think if you are going to watch a few of mine, I do this sometimes where I make the layout kind of late before I glue anything down. And that does help. I have these frames in ochre and I really like how they have the white and the yellow. So I'm just kind of putting the bits and pieces around, and she has, bits and pieces going vertical and horizontal. I don't have a circle. I kind of am not a big fan of the circle in the middle of a square pieces, but I do have this, a couple of other pieces. So there I go. I just finally just move that orange piece aside and all of a sudden I'm happier. I tear this brown piece and I make it look like it's one big piece. And I am so much happier with the way this whole thing has looked now. Sometimes you just have to do that. You just have to decide that the original idea you had isn't working and move on. So I'm going to lay the green film strip, which I do love, and I think it's just the right color. And I'm going to make my layers. I don't know how y'all make your layers, but this is what I do is I start from the top and I just start piecing different things together and just kind of make it work. And I don't worry too much about where everything is landing because these are supposed to be covered up, right? That's kind of the deal with it. And I also struggled to find a place for this, and I end up putting it down there. The big issue is because it's an acetate, needs to be see-through. So I like where that is. I'm going to push everything down. So I've got just some tickets, some stamps, some all different pieces from this ephemera kit. And I am building a collage of paper and bits and pieces. If this is stressful to you and you say, I don't know how to do this, it doesn't feel right to me when I do it, I really highly recommend getting a couple of the 49 and Market page kits, ultimate page kits, because they walk you through building like little collages of their pieces. And then after you do 2 or 3 page kits, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable doing it on your own. So here's where you're going to see me adding in the other die cuts. So like a sunflower and the yellow butterflies. So I'm adding those in. And just to kind of give a little bit more stencil or color effect or outside the edges. There is that butterfly. Now notice, you'll find out in just a little while, I completely forgot to glue that butterfly down. It's going to take me about another 5 minutes to figure out that, oh, that acetate butterfly, oh, there it is. Okay, I'm going to glue it down. I was like, the acetate butterfly is just sitting there. And then the title, I also got out of the acetate pack, which is Hello Lovely. And because this was my title, I didn't really want to glue it down. I wanted to use my tiny attacher. And the lovely was just really hard to reach. So I'm like messing around with my stapler and I eventually get it to where I can reach that L and I just staple it down. So there's just 2 staples from the tiny attacher holding down Hello Lovely. I then struggle a little bit because she does have a journal box on hers, and I wanted a journal box, and I had this really cool journal box, but I had to find a place for it, so eventually I do, and that's where I'm going to do a lot of my journaling. And now I'm just going to do a couple of pieces and parts from the laser cuts. So 49 microcross, there's laser cuts instead of die cuts, which is cute. But and I've got, just going to use those. This is a really cool bucket of flowers with this yellow ribbon. There's a green kind of fabric lace piece, and I think that's all I pick out right now. So I really want to use this green lace piece as kind of the vertical or the horizontal element, but it's really bothering me that it has that piece that like goes down because it just doesn't work. So I cut it off. And reminder, I think I say it almost every time we all are together here. It's your paper. It's your embellishments. If it's not working for you the way it is, cut it, ink it, dye it, tear it, make it work. And that's what I did. And it's perfect just the way it is. And then I'm going to add that cute little ribbon onto that flower pot and then put the flower pot down. I'm going to add some flowers, another stamp. There's a word phrase that says, I'd go anywhere with you, a little yellow floral. And then that says the details, and I want it to be next to my word strip. So I just tuck it in there vertically. And then it creates like this little pocket of blank space. So I add a butterfly. So hopefully, as you're looking at it now, you can see kind of the similarities to the original Scraplift. So I have a square photo surrounded by different pieces of paper, and I hope you see that. I'm adding the date there at the bottom. And I really feel like the Scraplift inspired me to make this because this is, where I started with the 2 vertical strips on the left, started with a square photo, paper piecing, not a traditional layout. So that's kind of where I took it. I really like the page from Brandy. I think that it was a good way for me to interpret it in my style. So I'm going to end with a little dash of splatters. And with that, hopefully you'll enjoy the close-up, and I will see you next time when we scrap lift someone new. See you next week.